as in many instances when she speaks about various of our common advocacies, I have one follow-up question for today. Well, una, salamat sa paggunita nila sa persisting situation ng ating mga internally displaced persons, and for highlighting both the climate change aspect of that displacement and also the gender aspect. My one question for today is, I noticed, bukod dun sa sinabi ng gentle lady na 52% of IDPs are women and girls,
Yes.
that percentage is also growing by 3% year on year. Would the good gentlewoman say that tulad ng mga phenomena ng feminization of poverty and feminization of migration na may nag-occur na parang feminization of internal displacement as well, Mr. President?
Tama po. Unang-una po, ako ay nagpapasalamat sa Deputy Minority Leader sa kanyang palaging masigasig na hindi lang pagtatanong, kundi pagsusuporta ng ating mga shared advocacy. Salamat po. Pangalawa, tama kayo sa inyong paggamit ng salita na femininization ng poverty, feminization ng epekto ng pagbabago ng klima. At tinatanong nyo ang femininization ng statelessness,
And
ng
internal displacement.
internal displacement. Oo. Dahil alam natin, kamukha yun nangyari sa Marawi. Whether the internal displacement is caused by natural causes like climate change or conflicts, internal conflicts, yes, by even clan wars or even violence in the community, sila ay lumiliban, umaalis sa lugar, may gender perspective, malakas po yun. Kamukha pag meron mga disaster na nangyari, ang ating mga refugee camps, or sabihin natin hindi refugee camps, yung ating mga tents para sa internally displaced,
Mga provisional housing.
wala pong maliwanag na mga rules, ang DSWD ba, o mga ahensya ng gobyerno, kung anong para sa women and girls, ang mga sa latrines, mga banyo na ginagamit, hindi natin alam kung pribadong para sa women and girls. At alam nga natin, base ng mga statistika, na mas malakas or mataas ang epekto sa women and girls. Kaya minarapat kong magsalita ngayong buwan ng Marso para bigyan ng lalo pang maigting na focus ang feminization hindi lamang ng kahirapan, ng poverty, kundi na rin ng feminization ng statelessness, ng internally displaced persons, at ng mga refugees na nagpupunta rin sa Pilipinas.
Salamat, good gentlewoman. At para din sa pagbanggit ninyo, kahit sa privilege speech nyo, ng mga internally displaced persons, lalo na internally displaced women and girls sa Marawi. So batay po dun sa karanasang iyon at yung kaalaman natin tungkol sa karanasang iyon, what are the specific vulnerabilities or needs of women and girl IDPs that require a better response, Mr. President?
As I said, whether it's climate-induced or wars, ano ba ang kanilang mga pangangailangan? Una, ang kanilang mga tirahan, temporary shelters, no?
Opo.
Ang kanilang tutulugan at mapapahinga. Pangalawa, ang kanilang mga physical na pangangailangan, especially for those still menstruating,
Yes.
even those who are menopausing, ang kanilang mga pag-check up sa mga doktor, at
kung
syempre
buntis.
ang mga, I'm sorry?
At kung buntis,
At kung
good
buntis
gentlewoman.
sila, oo, at ang kanilang mga banyo, private rooms, at syempre yung katahimikan ng kanilang, even for mental health, not just the physical needs, but even the mental health. At minsan, pag siksika ng mga lugar, sa mga eskwelahan, sa mga temporary shelters, at ito hindi lamang sa Pilipinas, nagdidikit-dikit na ang mga hindi lang magkakamag-anak, pati ang magkakapit-bahay or hindi magkakakilala, strangers, and women and girls with men and boys. Kaya nga nagkakaroon na ng pag-violate sa pribadong karapatan ng women and girls. And I speak not just in the Philippines, but even in war-torn countries where there are internally displaced persons. I speak, let's say, for example, as you see very blatantly on social media and online from photos, what's happening in Gaza. How women and girls have been the victims of genocide. How shelters and hospitals have been bombed. I'm not saying that men are not victims, but especially innocent civilians, women and girls, even in hospitals and even in UN buildings and refugee camps, have been rendered vulnerable, and they have been shot at and killed, even those who are lining up for food. So this really, as a Filipino, as a human, breaks our heart. What's happening in areas in the Philippines, again, climate-induced or brought about by internal conflicts and wars, but even in faraway areas, in Sudan, in Congo, in Ukraine, in Gaza, it's happening all over the world. And so I felt it was perhaps the right time to bring it to our national attention and focus, of course, on what is doable within our means and within our resources, which is what we can do in the Philippines.
Thank you, good gentlewoman. Speaking of focusing on working within our resources and speaking of the right time, I would join with the good gentlewoman that it's always the right time to bring up not just these issues, but also the gender's perspective within these issues. Yung sinabi din nilang heartbreak nila about the raging conflicts in Gaza, in the Ukraine and elsewhere. I share also that heartache about those, and as a fellow woman would also like to lend our country's support to the search for just and lasting resolutions, no, peace in those countries. That is also peace for the women and girls there. And as far as working within our resources is concerned, perhaps this representation, Mr. President, could invite the good gentlewoman for us to work together in making an even more gender-responsive budget through the 2025 GAA together.
I would be so happy to work with your honor, Mr. President. And so this would address the needs of internally displaced persons insofar as even psychological and psychosocial support, their nutrition needs, access to education even while in temporary shelters, and access to documentation because they are forced to flee, and if their documentation is in the area or province where they're from and the area where they fled, paano ang kanilang documentation kung hindi naman nila alam kung paano gagawin doon? And of course, gender-based violence still exists. So you asked earlier, what else can we do? These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 issues must be addressed, and I would be happy to work with that in 26 years, ngayon lang sila nagkaroon ng pondo. Thank you, Senator Sani Angara, Chairman of the Finance Committee, for accepting my humble amendment of 10 million, I think, or less, that finally funded the 26-year-old bureau, which was never funded from the time it was created. And they are here now. Our State Counsel, Chan, is here. He left. He was here earlier at 2 o'clock. Our State Counsel from the DOJ was here. In fact, the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Hernando, was also present since 2 o'clock. We still have the UN officials present here. So thank you for your support. And I would want to see a, yes, even better and more gender-sensitive budget, which I'm sure is already, because I can see the chairman here, I'm sure he has made sure that the GAD allocation is followed and all of that. So we also have a 2 million amendment on capacity building on laws and women under the Development Academy of the Philippines. Oh, what we did was to engage the DAP in capacity building so that they can hold capacity building seminars. Maybe we can start with the Senate so that all the 1,000 staff officers and employees here can also be trained for this.